The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is Dark Macek with Brutally Delicious, coming at you with a review of Silent Angel's brand new album, Unyielding, Unrelenting. I've been out for a few weeks, it's good to be back. So again, here's a band I've never heard of before, but always very excited to hear. This was billed as being symphonic metal, so I was envisioning something that sounded kind of like Rhapsody maybe. And there are a couple tracks that fit that mold, but there's also more of a classic edge than I was expecting with this band. Kind of like a modern Dio maybe, except female vocals. Now, let's be clear, Dio definitely influenced most power metal bands, so I guess it's not that unexpected. And I'm not saying like Stradivarius sounds like Holy Diver, but I am saying that a lot of those uplifting themes and vocal melodies that Dio put out there laid a groundwork. But I digress, kind of a classic 80s edge to a couple tracks, and when we start talking about songs, I'll get more into that. Something I want to talk about sonically before we talk about songs here is that this album does not seem to feature auto-tune. So almost everything these days has some kind of pitch correction. I'm 99% positive I've seen Broadway shows that had pitch correction, like live performances, Broadway being that last bastion of talent rather than pop star appeal. So it's a very interesting and I think admirable choice to forego it for this album. You hear some very natural glissandos when the singer raises, and you also hear occasional moments of coming a little bit flat. I don't mean that in a bad way, but it actually adds to the performance. The ending guitar solo of November Rain by Guns N' Roses has a couple of notes that slash bends slightly flat, but it works because it sounds like the guitar is crying. It's a very human moment. It's so funny that the album I'm describing as not overproduced is symphonic metal and not like some lo-fi garage rock. But I digress. Let's talk about some songs. The intro is a really cool, like, video game style opening. The first half of this could be in Warcraft or Baldur's Gate or something, and I'm here for it. Then it goes straight into the single Against the Tides. And this is really the one where I got those Dio vibes. The chorus reminded me of Ancient Bards, which is itself, like, probably the band that sounds most like Rhapsody, except for Rhapsody. So, like I was saying, marriage of symphonic metal and Dio. It's cool. Let's move on. Through Selene's Eyes. This is a great ballad, very emotional vocal performance. And most importantly, I did not detect a single cliche chord progression here. I've often called it out when other metal bands, particularly power and symphonic metal bands, use the Africa chords, as I call it, which is they take the chords from Africa by Toto, because it works. I mean, there's a reason why that song's a hit, but it's overused to shit. This one, actually, like, I'm listening to it and I'm like, I don't hear any tropes here. Who would have thought? An original song. Moving on a bit, Aurora's Dream. This is just a really cool track. I normally compare this to, like, this reminds me of this song by Sonata Arctica or this song by Cain's Offering. This one tickled something new with me. There's great vocal melodies throughout, and the music is centered on that instead of writing a guitar part and then writing vocal melodies around the guitar. This seems very vocal-centric. There's a masterful key change in the last chorus. I haven't heard one that good since, like, Beautiful Bomb by Reckless Love. 2 tracks in a row where one of my main pieces is that it's original. That's impressive. Moving on. Angels Rising. The songwriting here is, like, compelling and moving. These melodies move you. And the vocal performance is outstanding. I think this is the track where I discovered there's no auto-tune because of how natural and human it sounds. Tears of Celestine. Another great ballad, very moving, yada yada. I'm saying the same stuff, but this band is truly onto something. I sometimes wonder why these songs move us. Like, what does the title Tears of Celestine mean? And this is another moment when I'm reminded of Dio. Most of his lyrics don't really make much sense if you try to find a literal meaning there, but you read it and you're like, what is a ship without a storm? That sounds very peaceful to me. What is the cold without the warm? I mean, I like cold weather, but together in the way he sings it, it gets you, and this band has that same effect. Then we have the last track on the album, Twilight of the Black Rose. This has really great last song energy. it just oozes finality and closure in the songwriting and again in the vocal melodies. The songwriting style is different, but in terms of how it made you feel, I'm brought back to Nature's Revenge by Northtail. Even though that's technically not the last song, it's the last proper song on Eternal Flame. It just has that great sense of catharsis that comes at the end of a play or something. Wow, so band that seems to have struck something new, because I cannot think of many bands to compare them to. They don't really sound like Dio, it just brought me back to that era, and they don't really sound like Ancient Bards or Rhapsody, but they also had elements of that too. That said, the true accomplishment of this album is not that I'm struggling to find a label, it's the songwriting, and it's superb. Seriously, if you are all hearing this, you should do some kind of YouTube video on how you write your songs, because something is coming out differently. Are you starting with vocal melodies and then writing parts around it? Because that is not the typical metal way, and I think a lot of bands could stand to learn something from you. Rock on.
Hello out there!
Yes, hello out there, everyone. I'm Hal Schwartz.
And I'm Flynn McLean. Together we host None But the Brave, a podcast dedicated to the music and career of Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce and E Street Band are on tour right now for the first time in 6 years, and we're taking a detailed look at what's happening on stage in our bi-weekly episodes.
We've also been recently joined by some very exciting guests, including rock journalist Warren Zanes and Stephen Hayden, Backstreet's Magazine founder Charles Cross, and Barstool's Kirk Minahan.
If you're a diehard Springsteen fan, this is the show for you.
So please subscribe to None But the Brave on your favorite podcasting platform, and we hope to see you further on up the road.
Thank you so much! We'll be seeing you!